Good morning. Today, with ringing our peace bowl, we affirm our collective hope for peace. We acknowledge that these lands that we love are the historical lands of the Yavapai people. Now, please enjoy our gathering music today with its intriguing title, Break 'Em On Down, sung by our Granite Peak singers under the direction of Marshall Voigt. Good morning again, everyone who is here, and those of you on Zoom. Welcome to Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'm Suki Jones, your worship associate today. We extend a warm welcome to all. I'm entering the tech age. I'm using my, I see everybody else using their phones to do their script, so we'll see how it works here today. So Roger's sermon today is on touching, why we sometimes like and sometimes we do not like to touch or to be touched. Well, it reminded me of when I was at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Phoenix. We had extended families, which were groups of people who voluntarily didn't know each other but came together to socialize of all ages together. Well, it turned out that everybody in my extended family, none of us liked to hug. Can you believe that? None of us liked to be hugged, so we called ourselves the cold family. And I've changed. So, believe it or not, today is Hug a Tree Day. Oh! Okay, so yes, thank you, Roger. We all need hugs. Today, believe it or not, and he didn't probably know that when he was picking his sermon title, but today is Hug a Tree Day, truly. So trees are our friends. Some of them, they're just like people. Some of them are very social and others are a little shy, and some of them really don't want to be touched. But most of them like that. They're just a little shy. So even if you're not into hugging people, find a tree today that needs a little affection. Give it a friendly smile and a big hug. And you might want to start with one of these empress trees in our parking lot. Hey, so it's good to see everybody here this morning. and many familiar faces. And are there any new? I think there are some people we haven't seen here before. So if you're comfortable to stand and introduce yourself, Roger will encourage you.
Well, you don't have to stand if you're visiting for the first time. You can remain.
She already stood.
Oh, he already stood. But if you don't stand, you don't get this wonderful gift. We spared no expense to have these pins with the church's name on it printed up. Here you go. Tell us where you're from.
I'm from Prescott. Sarah Waller is my wife.
Great. Well, good to have you. And your name?
Mike Morante.
Mike, good to have you here. Good to have you. Welcome. There's more. You want the pin, I know. And your name is?
Catherine Forthen.
And where are you from?
Well, I live at the country club in Dewey.
The country club in Dewey, great. You drove all the way up here. That's great. We are just behind True Value, you know? And yeah, it's about our ethics, True Value. Yeah. Anyone else? Any other visitors? Again, if you didn't want to stand, that's fine. We're still glad you're here, and we invite you to stay after our service for our coffee hour, which is going to be right where you are right now in this space. We are obviously in the process of building one of the most beautiful sanctuaries in the history of Prescott, and it'll be done just in a few months. Good to have all of you here.
Yes, we'll shower you all with friendly smiles, as well as the smiles to those trees. And you wouldn't believe how we magically transform this place from a sanctuary into a social hall. In our work here and ministry at Granite Peak, we are guided by this, our mission statement. We are a compassionate, spiritual community that celebrates diversity, nurtures the personal and spiritual growth of all ages, shares our gifts, promotes justice for all, and serves the world we live in. It takes a covey of congregants to make sure our Sunday mornings run smoothly, and we especially thank those who are part of our regular morning team: Lena Hubin, Brian Willison, Martin Bramhall behind the screen, and Chris Hawthorne, as well as all of our Sunday morning volunteers, and a special welcome today to Marshall directing our choir. This would be a good time to set your phones on silent mode. If your phone goes off, you will get the stare. So we're into announcements now, and there are numerous ways to learn about the activities and events of our congregation. And one of them is going to be right now, because we have a flash news report from our new board member, Catherine Marshall.
Well, good morning. The great news is the Granite Peak Food Pantry has been accepted to the Yavapai Community Cupboard, the Green Bag Program, which is great. The other side of that is that on June the 14th, we're going to need a whole bunch of volunteers to move 3,000 pounds of food from Prescott Valley between 9:30 in the morning and noon to our food pantry across the way. So please watch for the announcement in the Weekly Peak this week for details on a couple of meetings to organize this. And I hope I know there's a conflict on June the 14th with the No Kings. So I understand, but if you want to learn more and if you can help, that would be great. Thanks.
We can do both.
I hope so.
Thank you, and I think I said Marshall instead of Marsh, I'm sorry. So, more information available at prescottuu.org, our weekly Peak newsletter, plus our monthly newsletter, The View. Children over the age of 5 are being taught in the building across the street by our fabulous Children's Development Coordinator, Sandra Palacios. And, oh, she doesn't have anything up there on the bulletin board today, but usually there's some really great artwork or something that shows us what she's been up to. She and the children are up to. We begin our service in the Unitarian Universalist tradition of lighting the chalice. Our chalice lighter this morning is Lydia Garrett. Today, we light the chalice with these words by Albert Schweitzer, and I added a few of my own at the end. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us through their words, their action, their touch, and their hugs. Lydia, with assistance from Fred, has lit the chalice. And now.
Well, my colleague Rod Thompson, who's retired to southern New Mexico, wrote these words. As we gather here this morning, may we reach out and connect to each other. With our eyes, seeing friends old and new. With our ears, listening to each other. With our hands, touching, holding, and hugging each other. That is the nature and purpose of our worship here together today. Welcome. Let's stand as you're able and sing hymn number 6, Just as Long as I Have Breath. I have one down here. So I invite you to join with me in our covenant. The words are in the order of service. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community. Thus do we covenant together.
As we prepare to take the offering this morning, let us embrace the feeling of connection and community that we have when we gather here this week. Let us remember that this congregation and its programs are supported by your generosity. We also give back to the greater community through our Seeds of Support program. This month's recipient is our own neighborhood outreach food pantry, and that was such great news that Catherine gave us earlier today. You can read more about them in your order of service. To contribute online, please visit our website, prescottuu.org. Our offertory music, Wiosna, by Frédéric Chopin, is based on a poem by Polish writer Stefan Wawicki that expresses the joy and beauty of spring. So keep that in your hearts as we listen to this cheerful piece. Lena picked out perfectly for today. Thank you. We acknowledge the generosity of spirit expressed through this offering. What is given in love is received in gratitude. Blessed be. We take this moment to reflect on our joys and sorrows. Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a spiritual community where we find meaning. Ours is a sharing community where our joys are amplified, a caring community where we find meaning. Ours is a sharing community where our joys are amplified, a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. If there is an event which moves you to joy or concern, hope or gratitude, I invite you to come forward silently and drop a pebble into our communal water as an affirmation of our connection to one another. And in the interest of our crowded room today, I would like to suggest that for this bowl over here, the people on this side of the room, or those just right here, come down here, but exit off to your left. And you folks kind of carefully form a line to the left and let people exit around you to the other side. Thank you. I also dropped a pebble in for the firefighters fighting the Greer fire that's encroaching on Eager and Springerville, and for the people worried about the loss of their homes. May our joys and concerns, surrounded by the healing communal water of our beloved community, be acknowledged here today. So may it be. Let us sing together Spirit of Life, number 123 in the Gray Hymnal. And unlike what your program might say, that will be followed by a reading by Roger, and then we'll have our musical interlude.
The design of the Protestant worship service, which we follow, was created by Martin Luther. And what he wanted to do was give his congregations in Germany directly access to the scriptures, so that they would have no intermediary, a priest or someone who would tell them what the scriptures said. But of course, most of them didn't read, and if they did read, it was very expensive back then to buy a Bible. Only the wealthiest people could. So Luther came up with this plan where he would read a passage from the Bible and then give a sermon explaining what that passage meant, so that people would have direct access to the scripture. In this tradition, I wonder if Luther ever read this passage, the Song of Solomon. How graceful are your feet in sandals. O queenly maiden, your round thighs are like jewels, the work of a master hand. Your navel is a round bowl that never lacks mixed wine. Your belly is a heap of wheat encircled with lilies. Your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle. Your neck is like an ivory tower. How fair and pleasant you are, O loved one, O maiden. You are stately as a palm tree, and your kisses like the best wine that goes down smoothly, gliding over lips and teeth. The Song of Solomon is an ancient celebration of the human world of smell, vision, taste, hearing, and touch. Now we will have our anthem.
Transitions are easier to make. The song we're about to share is we hope it will be uplifting. It really is born from a moment of sadness and pain in our world. It's a song called Courage to Be Who We Are. It was written by Ruth Huber in memory of Gwen Araujo, who was a trans woman who was killed in California in 2002. So we are here singing, standing, living for the courage to be who we are. And we hold in our hearts the memories of all those people who've been taken from us unjustly in this world.
Everybody has their own preferences about applause in a worship service. I think it's great to applaud the musicians. I don't want you to applaud sermons. But you all get to do whatever you think is right. Well, people are touchy about touching. A few years ago, a Chicago newspaper columnist wrote, all this hand-holding is one of the things which has messed up religion in this country. Not long ago, your typical house of worship was a place where people went to do what their forebears had done for some generations in matters of the spirit. Then a few years ago, somebody decided that at the end of every service, it was necessary to hold hands with the clown sitting next to you. While some song was sung, pretending to love the clown, even if deep in your heart you knew he or she was a dingbat. Or consider this letter which appeared in the newspaper. Dear Abby, I abhor shaking hands because I am susceptible to colds. I've even changed religions for this reason. I was a devoted Catholic from birth, but became Protestant when the sign of peace, shaking hands with the people around you, was introduced into the liturgy of the Mass. I couldn't stand to see people blowing their noses and sneezing into their hands for 40 minutes, then offering those same hands in greeting. A minister wrote, "Dear Abby, I know you meant well when you said everybody could use a hug once in a while, but this advice can easily get out of hand. I am an English-born clergyman who is presently living in California. I like my ministry and I love Americans, but one of the biggest cultural shocks I've had to face in your country is the phenomenon of hugging. Total strangers will rush up and grab me as though I were a long-lost relative. Otherwise, charming women will clasp me, impaling my cheeks on their flyaway diamond earrings. Even more alarmingly are the burly males who grip me in a bear hug from which there is no escape. Abby, I'm not a cold person, but such trespass bespeaks a false intimacy. As I had to put it to one clinging vine, Madam, a handshake will do. If you use this, I trust you will not disclose my name or location. Just sign me, forgive them that trespass." Well, how do we decide when touching is appropriate and when it is not? It depends a great deal on our ethnic roots. Every culture has developed rules about the appropriateness of one human being touching another. For example, when I visit my Unitarian friends in Transylvania, that's a real place, part of Romania, both male and female, we greet each other by kissing each other on both cheeks. I haven't done that in Prescott yet. In 1963, the anthropologist Edward T. Hale laid out the basics of social space. Hale documented that humans reserve around us about 18 inches, intimate space, he called it, for close friends and family. Personal space from 18 inches to about 4 feet is open to acquaintances and colleagues. And social space from 4 feet to 12 feet is the appropriate orbit for strangers or new colleagues. Those zones are averages, and they vary by individual, by culture, and over generations. Of course, touching has a high degree of cultural relativity. In a 1966 study, couples from different countries were observed in casual conversations in cafes and coffee shops. The researcher counted the number of times they touched during a 1-hour period. On average, touching occurred 180 times an hour in Puerto Rico, 110 times an hour in Paris, and twice an hour in the United States. In London, couples in cafes never touched. The British American culture, with its emphasis on autonomy, independence, separateness, and privacy, results in less physical touching between people. And Unitarian Universalists are carrying the culture of British American people. In a later study of Finland, France, Italy, Russia, and Britain, British participants were the least likely to touch each other. On the other hand, people who live in Finland turn out to be the most cuddly people. even more than the French or the Italians. I assume this is because it can get very cold in Finland. Within the American culture, there are differences. People in California touch each other more often than people in New England. Americans of Latino heritage, a population found most often in the southern regions of the country, touch easily and more often. And Americans of Mediterranean heritage touch and kiss freely. I studied for the ministry at a Unitarian Universalist school, which was at the time in Berkeley. They've since moved to Oakland. Most of the students or faculty had British American roots, so we did not touch each other in coffee shops. None of us at the school were from Finland. Still, in the 1970s, not touching was considered a hindrance to being fully human. Unlike the repressed Episcopalians, Presbyterians, and Lutherans, we Unitarian Universalists worked on overcoming our inhibitions by hugging each other and giving each other massages. Students bragged that our school was the hugging school. Among the students, I was from Phoenix, so I was more inhibited than the average student. To help me become more of a touchy-feely minister, the seminary sent me to a special weekend at Esalen in Big Sur. I think some of you have heard of it. I learned how to give a massage, how to chant Om, and how to soak in the hot springs overlooking the Pacific Ocean. It's very, very beautiful, very nice. It was a really great weekend. I loved it. Eventually, I finished my studies in Berkeley and returned to the real world. In the 1980s, several Unitarian Universalist ministers were accused of inappropriate sexual behavior towards members of their congregations. I started to be more careful how and when I touched members of the churches I served. Restrictions on touching gradually increased for teachers, supervisors in offices, and for clergy. Attention to sexual abuse of children, heightened by the stories of sexual exploitation of children by clergy, have given teachers, counselors, caregivers, ministers, and other authority figures a new level of fear concerning touching. The Me Too movement against sexual harassment and sexual assault began to spread in October of 2017. News stories of inappropriate touching by public figures made me more aware that some touching is unexpected and unwanted. News reports talked about research that shows how touching is hierarchical. More powerful persons tend to feel free to touch persons who are lower in the social hierarchy. I learned that women are frequently subject to sexual harassment by men, especially men who are perceived to be higher in the hierarchy. As a male minister, this has resulted in my further restricting how often I touch others. On Sunday morning, I might shake your hand or rest my hand on your shoulder for a moment. It's a nonverbal way to say, I see you, and I am glad you are here. During the week, if I visit you in the hospital, after I clean my hands thoroughly with disinfectant, I will touch or hold your hand as you lay in a hospital bed. And I hope you experience this as affirming and comforting. Studies show that many people experience such touch from a friend or a minister as positive and friendly. But not everybody feels this way. Because of past negative experiences, some of you may feel it's creepy when I touch you on your shoulder or your hand. For some of you, my touch might be a real turnoff. I try to read the cues, the body language of people to not offend anyone. More often these days I ask, can I hold your hand? Can I give you a hug? But still, I do not always get it right. These days, if I'm alone with a church member in my office, I sometimes do not even shake hands. At least 2 feet of empty spaces between myself and anyone who comes to see me. I leave my door open most of the time. I've stopped accepting invitations to have dinner with individual women in their homes. I'm happy to meet in a restaurant or for a group meal in a home, but not one-on-ones. The problem with this fear of touching is that many studies show that the right kind of touch is really very good for us. An expert in this field is Dr. Tiffany Field, director of the Touch Research Institute at the University of Miami School of Medicine. Dr. Field is best known for her research on the effectiveness of massage therapy for stimulating growth in preterm infants. In one of her studies, premature infants receive massage therapy 3 times a day for 15 minutes over a 10-day period. These infants grew 47% faster, were more active and alert, were discharged from the hospital on average of 6 days earlier, and accrued $3,000 less in medical bills than the control group of the premature infants who were not massaged. Dr. Field went on to study the effects of touch deprivation among kids, such as children in orphanages. She found that the effects of touch deprivation are pervasive, influencing so many bodily systems that kids are diagnosed with failure to thrive, resulting in permanent physical and cognitive impairment, smaller stature, and social withdrawal later in life, which often includes aversion to physical contact. So it is healthy for parents to hug their children. Dr. Field was the lead author of a 2002 study which looked at 47 cultures. She said the cultures that exhibit minimal physical affection towards their young children had significantly higher rates of adult violence. Those cultures that showed significant amounts of physical affection towards their young children had virtually no adult violence. She observed children in McDonald's restaurants in Paris and in Miami. In Paris, the children were all over each other. They had their arms around each other. They hugged each other. They were very physically affectionate. In contrast, those in Miami were physically and verbally more aggressive with each other. American males are socialized to avoid gentle forms of touch between one man and another. American men are more familiar with aggressive touch, such as high fives and back slapping during sports. It turns out that even aggressive touching can have positive benefits. Robert can tell us about this. Researchers have studied how often professional male basketball players touch their teammates during a game. Teammates where players touch are more frequently enjoying significantly superior team performance. When they slap each other on the back, give each other hugs, they do better as a team than those where players touch teammates less frequently. Dr. Field says that the lack of touching in our country is not just because of the Me Too movement. She observes that we do not see people touching each other anymore in public, in large part, she says, because they're all on their phones, their iPads, their computers. This is the problem. After observing families in airports, Dr. Fields said, "It's very disturbing to see parents doing less touching of their kids. All the family members are just sitting there looking at screens, not touching." In reaction to the lack of touch in our culture, two self-described relationship coaches in New York City founded Cuddle Party in February of 2004. Cuddle parties were they were created for people who were too intimidated to attend massage workshops. The cuddle events were designed with the intention of allowing people to experience non-sexual group physical intimacy through cuddling. Then in 2014, in Portland, Oregon, a woman opened a cuddling shop where, for $60, customers can get an hour's worth of spooning. The shop was called Cuddle Up to Me, and it was very busy, very successful. The sessions are video recorded for the safety of the customer and the cuddler. After 9 years, it had to close because of the pandemic. I think all of us would prefer not to have to pay for a hug. However, the culture is changing. I understand that people have been deeply hurt by inappropriate touching. Men need to be more sensitive to body language. We need to be more careful taking cues from others about whether a person wants to be touched. Men can open up the conversation by asking, "Can I give you a hug?" Choice and consent are important. However, because of the Me Too movement, when women do want a hug, it would help if they would take the initiative and say, "Can I have a hug?" without implying in the question that there is something wrong with the other person because he or she has not taken the initiative. The German philosopher Schopenhauer, Chopin was the musician. The German philosopher Schopenhauer once compared humans with hedgehogs in the winter. Our problem, he says, is to position ourselves close enough for warmth, but far enough apart to escape being prickled by each other's quills. It is a good description of the ambivalence we feel about touching. Touching can be wonderfully reassuring. One doctor described his experience. He was watching visitors in hospitals. "I have been struck," he wrote, "by the way that most people finally say goodbye. They will speak to each other, if the patient is physically able, usually in subdued tones. They will try to make every effort to appear confident, and sometimes they will even joke. But when they say goodbye, it's almost as if some deep, primitive, instinctual ritual takes over. Just before leaving, they will stop speaking, and they will silently hold the patient's hand or touch his or her body." There are times in our lives when being hugged by another person, being touched by another person, matters more to us than anything. When we are grieving, when we are anxious and afraid, when we are in deep doubt over our own worth, when we have been humiliated, made fools of ourselves, when we are depressed, when we've been hurt physically or emotionally, when we are in pain, when we are dying or near death, and when we are most alive, most intensely happy, exhilarated by life. At such times, a hug, a touch can matter far more than anything words can communicate. let's sing hymn number 311. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To become our hearts to lead. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the hard times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and sing. Let your body turn to me. And like a willow with the wind. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning sun with cloud and night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. Round and round we go again. Let it be a dance. Reverend Betty A. Doty, who did her internship at the Phoenix Church studying to be a minister, wrote, "Let us go our separate ways now, taking with us a moment of transcendence and the warmth of a loving community. Let these moments and this warmth walk with us throughout the week and bless whomever we touch." Let's say together our extinguishing of the chalice words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. How'd it go? Got it?